Hi there, Agile friends. I'll come in here just with a quick note to let you know that the Agile Online Summit 2022 is coming soon. To know more, check out bit.ly/AOS2022. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/AOS2022. Now, stick around to the end of the episode if you want to know more, but for now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our TGIF and Product Owner episode this week with Nosheen Manzoor. Hey, Nosheen, welcome back.
Hey, Vasco. Thank you for having me. And it's almost Friday, so I'm excited for the weekend.
Absolutely. The weekend is coming and we have to get ready. And why not talking about product owners and how they are awesome and sometimes not so awesome. Let's start with that. We'll talk about an awesome product owner in a second. But first, start by describing for us, Nosheen, potentially the biggest product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career.
Yes, I would say once I got a chance to work with a product owner that showed more than, I would say, one anti-patterns of a product owner. So the product owner was not new, was an experienced product owner that was working on the team, one of the teams that I was working with. But the issues were based on how I saw the product owner doing the role, and the team also gave me a lot of feedback. The problem comes in because first, to the core, the product owner didn't have like a proper understanding of the role. I think he came from a different kind of an organization. I'm not sure how the role of a product owner there was it just in the name of as a product owner, or were they actually living it?
How did that show up, though? Like, what were the things that the product owner did, or what were the things they did that were causing that conclusion on your part?
Yes. So first of all, the product owner would kind of agree to everything that the client said. So everything for him was client focused. There was no focus on the team. Whereas as a product owner, he should have like an entire vision, because for the product as well as take into consideration the team that's going to work on the project. An example would be there was something that the product owner agreed to take as a bug, but it was actually a change request. So the issue was that for a bug, the SLA is different. And for a change request, it's much longer, because you start with understanding the requirements of the change and then develop it, test it, and so on. Whereas a bug, it's just that something isn't working as expected and you just fix it and just take it ahead. So this was causing like a lot of issues for the team, who was like the development team, especially because it wasn't like once kind of an instant, okay, once this happened, it was happening regularly. So the product owner I felt was not taking enough understanding of the product as such, was lacking that adequate product knowledge, or did not have an understanding, wasn't able to define a product vision. So if there is a feature that we have to develop, what is a vision, why we are doing it, what is an expected result, or what are we expected to deliver. I'm not talking about technical stuff, but from a product perspective, there should be a defined vision that the team can start working on.
So how did the PO then work in practice? Did they get like a list of things from the client and then just work through those things without thinking of the overall delivery as a product or as an experience?
Yes, because the product owner was also lacking he wasn't able to manage product backlog. So he would just put in, I don't know, like one liner in the ticket and directly bring it to refinement. No three amigos, there was no information, and everything was on the dev lead to provide, or the dev team and the QA together to fill in all the details. But that's not how it was, because he would, when the dev team would suggest something, okay, maybe this is how we should then implement it, the product owner will say, okay, yes. And we would assume that he did the yes in accordance with getting a clearance from business that this is how they want it. But that was not the case. He would just say yes to us. And in the end, when we developed it and it was reviewed by the client, it was a no-go. It
Yeah,
wasn't
that
what
is
they,
quite amazing. I
yeah.
mean, it is so many anti-patterns, as you said at the
Yes,
beginning.
yes,
Obviously, as Scrum Masters, we need to figure out, okay, so but what do we do, right? Like, so what
yeah.
advice do you have for us if we encounter this this product owner anti-patterns out there, Noshin?
Yes. So first of all, the first step I took was to set up like a Scrum Master PO sync after every daily to understand like, oh, what did he understand from where the team is, what is his expectation, did he speak to business and so on. Give him regular feedbacks, also coach him about what we are expecting from him as a PO. And at times it also meant until he could get into that zone of where he knows what is expected from him. As a Scrum Master, I kind of drive some meetings with him together. Doesn't mean that I take over, but I kind of drive it by asking right questions. For example, if there is a meeting about refinement, in the refinement meeting, I would make sure that until he was used to it, we would open the definition of ready and definition of done to see if the ticket is in a state where we can estimate. Because there, in the beginning, Vasco, there were times when I rejected, like out of 10 tickets for refinement, 8 did not meet the definition of ready.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And it's good to put that in as an expectation.
yes,
Dear PO, definition of
yes,
ready is your responsibility.
yes,
Now, we might help you, but you are
yes,
responsible for making sure that the definition of ready is met.
yes,
And I think one of the things that you said, which is incredibly important, is to give that support in the form of, for example, co-leading some of those meetings
yes,
like the refinement meeting, but also giving them tools, because sometimes the product owners got to that position, through whatever career evolution
yes,
they've had, but they didn't really have the support to learn
absolutely.
what's expected from them. So I'll also put the link on the show notes for this Coach Your Product Owner
Yes,
course for Scrum Masters,
yeah.
because we as Scrum Masters, we need to be ready to coach the POs and to give them the tools they need, right?
Yes, yes. And I also suggested a lot of books and a lot of internal trainings that the PO could do so that it would just set him on the path of that learning curve where he would kind of slowly understand his role and what is the expectation from it.
Absolutely. Now that we've covered so many anti-patterns, we want to have at least one great pattern in the product owner role. So, Noshin, I'm sure you can deliver that
Yes.
and much more in your description of a great product owner.
Yes, I think I have also been fortunate enough to work with some of the really good product owners, and I think what sets them apart is apart from the usual product owner role like backlog management and whatnot, there is a balance. They are able to balance the client and team expectations really well. So they not only build relationships with the client, but when it comes to the team, it's not like, okay, Scrum Master, you are a Scrum Master and you are responsible for the team. No, they do things in collaboration with the team. So if they have a product vision, they will talk to the team, make them understand, take their inputs into account before they give a go ahead to the client. Okay, this is something we can deliver to you, or this is something which is missing maybe. Because there have been instances when such in the role of a PO, when they were aware of this kind of maintaining this inputs from the team, they really got good inputs, and ultimately there were some things which could never be delivered. And if that PO wouldn't have taken into account like the dev lead or the dev team's inputs, we would have been in a situation where we promised the client to deliver something, and then halfway down the line we are like, okay, this is not technically possible at all.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And that also speaks to the need of managing expectations on both sides, right? You said the
yes, yes,
great balance between what both the
yes,
client and the team need, but it is also in a practical way, it is also about having a balance of expectations, right?
absolutely,
Sharing with the client, I don't know, but I'll talk with the team and we'll check if that's possible.
exactly,
Right. And
exactly,
that already sets up expectations that the team will contribute to the decision of whether something is possible or not. Because when we take it to the team as product owners, the team might say, look, that's not possible. But now that I understand what you need, here's an alternative that gives you the same thing without doing it that way, right?
Yes, and it's important because this way, then when the PO is taking effort to take into account like team's expectations, also the team fully supports them because they trust that the person there is trying to get us the best possible support, and whether it's in terms of talking to the client or in terms of the deadlines we are setting, they try to give in their best to support in return, because they trust the person knows what he or she is doing.
So. Yeah, absolutely. And in one way in which that trust in the product owner is expressed is also allowing the product owner to make decisions. And if the decision leads to an extra effort, the team will say, yeah, we'll do it for you. It's not easy, but we're going to do it because we trust you. We trust that you've vetted this with the client. We trust that there's value in this. And even though we don't understand all of the details of why that's important, we trust you, product owner, in making that decision for us.
Yes. And I think one thing that the good product owner also brings in is the effort to understand that product, to build his or her product knowledge. Because then when they come back to the team, they can talk to the team on a level that the team also feels comfortable. Okay, the product owner also knows things. It's not just they are completely relying on the dev team to give them everything that is required, which was like an anti-pattern before, but they know, they try like consciously to understand requirements. And that's how then they are able to convey that vision to the team. And that's when the team is comfortable accepting it.
Absolutely. That's a great story as well. Norshin, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the show. Unfortunately, we are getting close to the end. But before we go, do tell us, where can we find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
I'm there already on the LinkedIn. That's where I usually post some nice articles that I like to read about, improve myself, because there's a lot of learning from others' experiences. And I also keep listening to a lot of your podcast, Vasco. So keep the good job up. It was really nice being on your podcast today.
Thank you very much, Norshin. It's a pleasure to hear that the podcast has been useful. And thank you for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you, Vasco. It was a pleasure to be here with you.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around to know more about this year's Agile Online Summit. The summit will have 4 keynotes and 4 tracks you will not want to miss. The keynotes will touch on critical topics for us, from delivering on time to helping you to focus on sustainability. The 4 tracks are tools. So we'll focus on tools you need to excel at your job, but also your mission. We'll also have a track on sustainability, which is, of course, about people and their sustainable pace, but it's also about how do we bring sustainability to the products and the planet we inhabit. We'll have a 3rd track about happiness, talking about doing what we love and, most crucially, loving what we do. And finally, the 4th track will be live. It will be mostly hands-on sessions to help you roll up your sleeves together with the presenters. Oh, and we will also have a coaching clinic, as we usually do, organized to help you discuss and get inspired to solve the hardest challenges you face at work. This year, we'll have a special emphasis on interaction with your peers, so get your ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/AOS 2022. As always, we have free tickets for anyone that wants to attend live, and the VIP tickets for those of you who want to keep the videos forever. So check them out at bit.ly/AOS 2022. I'll see you on the conference floor. One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over, but there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast, and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.